Hello friends, Tanya here for Spellbinders, and today we're going to play with two of the collections that came out in September. We are going to start out with the Simon Hurley Purrfect Cats Stamps and Dies. This is a large stamp set. I think it's a 6x8, and it has coordinating dies for all of the cats and all of their little play toys. Now I've stamped 10 of the 11 cats in this stamp set. I do go back off screen and stamped the 11th cute little cat because I forgot it and colored it off screen. I'm going to quickly show you how I colored each of these cats, and they are very simple to color. I love that the artist has given us some lines to go by here. On this So Ugly It's Cute hairless cat, I did use some W's, I believe, to create that kitty. We're going to add some pink to his ears with some EO2. I'm hopefully holding these Copic markers still long enough for you to get an idea of which colors I use to color them. Here's a Siamese kitty. I was looking for some good cream colors to do his coat. I know lots of people who craft who actually have Siamese kitties, so I wonder if there's something to that personality wise. Next, we're going to do kind of a orange tabby look. Well, not tabby, but a fluffy orange kitty. My youngest has an orange fluffy kitty that my puppy, well, she's not a puppy anymore. She's almost 4, Honey, and my youngest child's cat really got along well. It's a male cat, and he is hilarious, and I cannot for the life of me remember his name, but I'm pretty sure it starts with an M. I don't think it's Maurice. I can't remember. I don't know why I can't remember his name. But he's a sweet kitty, and he's a long-haired fluffy orange kitty, and so that's what I had to make this kitty. He's currently upside down on this as I'm coloring him. Because he's like sliding off of a couch, or at least that's what I'm picturing. It looks like he's sliding off of something half on, half off, with this cute, dopey look on his face. I think he is adorable. He might be my favorite kitty in this entire stamp set. I'm coloring him using some flicking motions, and I did color from darkest to lightest. Next, we're going to do this black and white kitty that's chasing his tail. I think he's really adorable too. So many of these are playful, and some of them have a little bit of sassy attitude, which that's exactly what we love our cats for. Now, there are a lot of cats in this stamp set, and I didn't decide to color all of them just to show you how to color them, but because I thought it would be kind of fun to color them all, even if I didn't use them all. And I do make my best effort to use all of these kitties in the 4 cards that I'm going to create. And I actually had no particular plan to make a bunch of cards with all of these kitties when I started out coloring them. I actually colored them one evening and left them laying on my craft desk and came back to them the next morning and had all kinds of ideas once I let the ideas start. I also think these cats are very seasonless. You can use these kitties in cards for any season of the year, and I thought that it'd be nice to break up all of the fall gorgeousness and the Christmas stuff with some great generalized cards. I am realizing as I color these kitties that they don't come in as great a range of colors as dogs do, at least in my experience. So here I find myself doing black, orange tints, cream, black and white, but I don't know that I've ever seen a cat this color actually, which is more of a rich brown. And I apologize if you can hear my dog. She decided that this was the time to eat her supper. But anyway, I wanted to make sure that this kitty who's rolling on his back, wanting a good tummy rub, has a nice round, fun looking tummy, just waiting to get a good tickle. And I thought I could use a little artistic license here and expand the kitty colors a little bit so I don't have to color the same color groupings all the time. Here we've got another black and white kitty, and I alternated between the warm grays and some creams to add my tints to the white kitties, or the white parts of the kitties, because again, I didn't want them to all look the same. Although when they're a black and white kitty, it makes them even easier to color. There is a solid black kitty, and you don't have to color that one at all. Here I've die cut all of the ones that I had colored, and I guess not 10, there were 9 there. There are 10 kitties in this set. So now I'm going to pull out some of the Sealed for Christmas collection things. This is the Notched Corners 3D embossing folder. It's absolutely gorgeous. I took this piece of cardstock that I cut down to 5x7, I believe. No, it's a little smaller than 5x7. And put it through the embossing folder. And I'm taking these 3 these are the lunar paste. The solar paste are the light iridescent ones that change color on dark cardstock. These are the lunar paste, which they glow on whatever cardstock you use. The colors are the same, whether it's dark or light. And I'm using my finger to apply color to the raised portions of this embossed panel. I did cut this panel down to, I think it's 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. That's the size I made it. And I'm just going through with, the green is Later Gator. The yellow is Slippery When Wet, which is a fantastic gold to me. And the red is Bee Sting. These are absolutely stunning, gorgeous colors. I only have, I think, 4 of the Simon Hurley lunar paste. And the other one I have is like Wild Berry, I think. Now we're going to do some spattering with this Distress Mica Stain in Unraveled. This is one of this year's Halloween colors. And stock up. I'm telling you, these mica stains are gorgeous. I just keep dipping into them. I use them year round. You probably have seen me use them before, and I will not be stopping because I love these things. I took some craft colored cardstock and spritzed that with Unraveled also. And we're going to use the Essential 4 Petal labels to die cut a piece of this craft cardstock. So I'm going to take my label panels or label dies here, 4 petal label, taking the dies and figuring out which size I want to use. Die cut that, took my little kitty that I'm going to use on this card and decided I wanted a vellum matte layer behind that main panel. Die cut that, and now we're going to do some sentiments. I'm stamping on some heavyweight white cardstock scraps with some clear embossing ink, and I'm going to use the Hero Arts Brass embossing powder. It's a nice rich goldish color. It goes perfect with so many of the red tones that I'm using. And I am stamping and heat embossing 2 of these sentiments. We've got, let me pull out my card so I can take a peek at it. Your One Cool Cat, which I think is an amazing, I think that needs to go with the hairless cat. Seriously, got to make a card like that. And inside, for the inside of the card, we're going to have Hope Your Birthday is Perfect. Now that both of those are nicely heat embossed, I'm taking out the Precision Layering Mini Slimline and the Precision Layering A2 dies, finding some of the, I took some of the narrowest ones to do some partial die cutting to die cut out our sentiments. Don't forget, these layering sets, especially the ones with lots and lots of dies, you can use the smaller dies to die cut out your sentiments. They are a very handy tool to have on hand. I've used this set more than I want to admit. Now that I have all of those die cut, it's time to start assembling card number 1. I did put some extra cardstock behind this embossed panel that adds some stability and a little extra depth and dimension. This is going to seem like this card is super thick, but it is not. In the long run, it is not that thick. I've definitely made thicker cards. So I have a layer of extra cardstock between the craft and the vellum, and also another layer behind the vellum, again to make all of that have a little extra definition. I took a little bit of clear Wink of Stella to add some shimmer to our playful kitty. Just going to cover the whole thing. Originally I was just going to cover the white portions, but I thought no, this kitty has to be shimmery all over. Now that I have that clear Wink of Stella on him, I'm going to take one of these action wobblers. These are the mini action wobblers, and I'm going to apply that first to our kitty, and I just peeled off the backer on one side, and I used the side that doesn't have as much surface touching the object you're gluing it to. Now we're going to glue our 4-petal label in the center of the card. There is an area in this embossing folder that has no embossing, and we're just going to cover that. I wanted this to look like a kitty playing in a field of flowers. That was the feeling I was going for. Very playful, very fun, very whatever season you want this to be. These are kind of Christmassy colors, but with the white background, it could be any time. Now I'm adhering our kitty and our sentiment to the front of the card, and I can't resist playing with that a little bit. Then we're going to take another kitty. This one happens to be holding a fish. I think it's a fish. No, it's a mouse. It has legs and a tail. So we're going to glue that to the inside of the card and tuck this sentiment right underneath. So it almost looks like he's sitting on the edge of the sentiment on the inside of the card. Get that well adhered. And then it's time to add some extra bling. We've got these matte metallic gold sequins from Trinity Stamps. These seem to be just perfect. They go well with the craft color on the center, and that actually helps bring that element more in tune with the rest of the card. And we're just going to add a spray of these kind of in a triangle here. Just adding dabs of my Barely Art Precision Glue and using my pickup stick to help pick them up and get them in the right spot. On to card number 2, we're going to do some ink blending with Crackling Campfire and Gathered Twigs, and then I'm going to come back and do some spritzing with mica, Distress Mica Stain again. That is Burning Ember, which is from last year's fall release or Halloween release. And then the brown is Fallen Acorn, which is from this year's Halloween release. Currently, all of the Distress Mica Stains are available. They re-released the previous 2 years, so you can buy all 3 years worth. That's 36 colors of Distress Mica Stains. I am so happy I have them. And you know what? I took this opportunity to order backups of the ones I don't have yet. So exciting. I love this blend. It's very rich, very bold, very colorful, and yet very much you can use this for masculine cards. Next, we're going to pull out the Glimmer Monoline Stars foiling plate, and I'm going to line this up with the top edge because I'm going to foil this twice. I want to foil the entire thing. I've got some polished brass foil here, and I've got this hinge that I'm using to keep it in place. I pull this back so there's a little tape exposed, so the foiling goes beyond the foil plate. We're going to line this up sideways on the foil plate, and then I'm taking my shims and lining those up so that they only cover the part that's going to get foiled, and the rest doesn't get covered. That way we don't get some extra marks or bends in the paper. Now I'm going to take those little bumps on the edge of the plate that line up with the pattern and line them up with the previous foiling, put my tape on top, and oddly enough it does not remove any of the foil, and do the same thing again, only covering the part of the that I want to get foiled. And it turned out stunning. Is it a perfect match? No, but it's good enough. We're going to take the Precision Layering Mini Slimline Set A again and use the largest die to cut a 3 1/4 by 6 1/4 inch panel. Next, we're going to take our cute fluffy orange kitty And we're going to create a ledge for him to hang off of. It ends up being about 1 inch wide, and it's the same craft colored cardstock that I used for the card base. I'm not certain. This might be paper tray ink. It might be Spellbinders, not sure. It was in an unmarked stack of craft colored cardstock. I again took the unraveled distress mica stain and I spritzed this piece of cardstock. That's what it looks like wet. This is what it looks like dry. It looks a lot different. Next, and we're going to take a sentiment. This one says, "Meow you doing?" I think that's a perfect sentiment for this kitty that's being silly and fun. I'm going to stamp that on this piece of cardstock so it will be right next to our kitty on the card. I'm using clear embossing ink again. I use my anti-static powder tool and a brush to wipe away that extra powder, and we're going to stamp that with clear embossing ink. I did stamp it twice because I want a nice solid inking, and we're going to use the brass embossing powder again. So I'm going to sprinkle that onto our cardstock, and since I use distress mica stains, which take much longer to fully dry than you think they will, and I did heat set this too, and ended up having to wipe off a little bit of extra powder with a dry brush. I'm going to melt that till it's nice and shiny and raised up, and it really looks cool on there. We're going to take this 3.5 by 6.5 inch mini slimline card. It was actually 7 inches by 6.5, scored at 3.5 inches, and then creased well with my bone folder. And here I messed up a little bit. I do have extra cardstock on the back of this panel. I always do that. It just really adds to the feeling of the card. And then realize, hey, wait a second. I did not mean to glue that to the card base yet, because I need to add this strip on the cardstock panel so I can trim off the edges. I wanted to place it at a diagonal. I thought that would be a fun way to create that. And because I used liquid glue, it wasn't dry yet, it was pretty easy to pull that off and not destroy my card base. This happens to all of us. We are always making oopsies, and that's okay. You get carried away in your craftiness, but you can pull things apart and salvage a project, or sometimes you just go a different direction when you can't actually pull it apart. But thankfully, I was able to pull that one apart. So I took some scraps of cardstock and used the same coordinating die to die cut some scraps, 2 layers for under the tail portion and 1 layer for under the head portion, because we're overlapping onto an extra layer of cardstock. Then I'm going to take these gorgeous Black Magic rhinestones from Trinity Stamps and create a fun pattern of gems across the card. I cannot seem to prevent myself from using gems or bling of some kind. I have gobs of it. So I have motivation to use it because I need to use the things that are in my craft room. You can't just pet them. Now that I have the rhinestones or the blinging done, it's time to finish the inside of our card. I've taken another sentiment from that Purrfect Cats. Purrfect Cats, is that what it's called? Yes, the stamp set. The stamp says "Stay Positive," and then I'm using our cute roly-poly little rub my belly kitty on the inside. I thought that continued this sweet sentiment. For our next group of cards, there's going to be 2 cards in this grouping. Excuse me. We're using the Deco Holiday embossing folder and this Snow and Ice luster polish. It's a clear, shimmery, glittery. I don't know how else to describe it. I thought this would be kind of chunky. It is not. Now, Spellbinders doesn't carry this particular color, but I know they have a green one like this, and now I want to get my hands on it. I just got this one because I actually thought it was the pearl luster. Whoops. That's okay. It's gorgeous. I love it. And we're just going to use it all over the front of this Deco Holiday embossing folder. I'm just going to pop that all back together. It's a very shimmery, very much snow and ice. Yes. And then we're going to pull out the Popular Sentiments stamps, or excuse me, dies. These are word dies with lots of common sentiments. A nice font. It's a nice mid-size. It's not real small, it's not real large, and it'll fit on a lot of different cards. And it has a very nice shadow behind it. It's not a huge shadow. It's very well proportioned to the sentiment, and I really like it. I think I will be pulling this out frequently also. It's really fun to have a sentiment die set that features many sentiments that you can use on a constant rotation. So we're going to use the scraps of that foiled and ink blended piece I used from the last card, and we're going to use it on two different 4-bar cards. 4-bar cards are 3.5 by 5 inches, and they're a great small card for hand delivering or mailing because they are just big enough to send through the mail. They are postcard sized, and I really love this size. I did, in the card bases, use my favorite gift card holding die so that I can add a gift card in these should I choose to do that. I love this big tiger kitty, and I thought it would be fun to put his little runway, so to speak, on a diagonal on the card so I have enough room to put my sentiment. Before I add this all to the front of the card, I do put this happens to be a hotel key. I stick a placeholder in there so the tabs on that gift card holder die do not stick to the back of the card front, so that you can stick a gift card in it later if you want to. Next, we're going to take this strip and we're going to line it up with a nice even border along the bottom portion of the card. It's about, is it about 1/2 inch? Yeah, it's about 1/2 inch from the bottom of the card. Now that I have that attached and trimmed off the excess, I'm going to glue that to the front of the card. And I'm going to add a little extra cardstock behind parts of this kitty and glue him to the front of the card. This is actually the cat that I forgot to stamp and color on screen. But you can see I chose to use some more browns on this kitty. Adding the thank you on the front here. And I just used some craft cardstock and some shimmery metallic cardstock. That's actually the metallic craft distress line. I've had that in my stash forever. Next, we're going to take this little ball of yarn that it almost looks like a mouse, but it's like a little cat toy. And we're going to have a mice day. That was as close as I could get to a mouse, and I thought that was perfect. Thank you, have a mice day. Not in the sassy way, just sincerely and kind of punny and just fun. And then we're going to glue one of these little balls of yarn, little toys, on the inside of each. I'm going to pull out the Black Magic rhinestones again and add a scattering across each of these cards. There are 4 sizes of gems in this set, and I'm only using 3 of the sizes on these cards because the largest one is pretty big. I actually tucked it under the first kitty's paw. I wanted something to look like he was dribbling it or batting at it, so that's why there's a rhinestone right under his paw, and that determined the path of the rest of the rhinestones on that card. On the Tiger Kitty card, I just wanted a nice flow following the direction that our kitty was walking. So that's the last 2 cards in this video. I really had a fun time creating these. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, now would be the perfect time to do that. If you're interested in any of the product that I used today, it will be in the description box below. And if there are, and there's probably too many items to all show in the description box, so be sure to click that full visual list in the description box below. Leave me a comment. Tell me which technique or which card was your favorite, or tell me your favorite kitty story. Until next time, here are a couple more videos I thought you might enjoy. Bye-bye.